know Trump has been talking about going to Chicago. I told you, ladies and gentlemen, that I didn't even pay attention to illegal immigration until I went to Chicago for the first time. And what I saw there in Chicago made me start really paying attention to it. And Tom Homan is talking with Tucker Carlson, of all people, right? But I want you to hear what he's saying about the situation with illegal immigrants in Chicago versus what's happening with Black Americans and resources Black Americans aren't even getting. Let's go ahead and check that out.
And the Black community feels left behind because a lot of these people are, they could use some of that tax money in Chicago to help them.
Just basically made it, both parties have paid, especially Democratic Party, a lot of attention to what Black voters want because they're a huge part of the Democratic coalition. And now that's not true. Anyone who says, it's just white racism is, what is your average Black person in Chicago, native born, family been here 300 years? What does he think of watching his city overwhelmed with illegal aliens?
Are getting massive amounts of care, right? Free hotel room, 3 square meals a day, free medical care. And the Black community feels left behind because a lot of these people are, they could use some of that tax money in Chicago to help them. They're taxpayers. They should have the first chance to get some of that help. But the mayor of Chicago just, he's ignoring his own community. And I was up there just over a week ago, and I met with hundreds of people that were up there, and they're suffering because of the decisions to take care of these illegal aliens. I mean, I saw city transit buses parked running fuel as warming buses. How about taking care of the homeless people in that city? But, they'd rather put these illegal aliens in a hotel room at $500 a night in the Roosevelt Hotel in New York City and give them 3 meals a day and give them free medical care rather than take care of their own people.
I want to point out something that Tucker Carlson has stated. He pointed out that when he said Black, he made sure to refer to Black Americans, those who have been here since the beginning, right? He didn't put us all in one, boat. See, the delineation movement, everybody has to acknowledge it. And with the delineation movement, that's the only way we're going to get something, that we need politically, because when we tried that, we all, are just one minority group. What we didn't understand is that other groups who came to this country, no matter where they come from, they didn't come on a collective mindset based on race. They came based on nationality, ethnic group, etc. And then those in the diaspora, they, yes, they are distant cousins, but they made sure, we talking about the immigrants, we ain't talking about people in their homelands. We're not talking about them. A lot of them separated themselves and othered themselves, right? And that's what a lot of people, really, in my opinion, is some of us discussing this, but we really don't understand or they don't understand the implication of othering themselves in America, and due to our history in America, while othering yourself is always going to put us, looking at you sideways, is going to make us not trust you when you other yourself.
So when I hear discussions like this, in particular, like the whole people of color thing, that just groups all minorities together, right? Therefore, what that does, it diminishes Black folks in particular. Because if you look at the rights that any minority has in this country, is because of the things that has been done to Black folks. Civil rights movement was, which a lot of the civil rights movement I disagree with, because I think Black folks were better when we were segregated and we were together and we were doing our own thing. But the civil rights movement brought about Black folks that wanted to be with people and amongst people and live amongst people and go to establishments to where they weren't wanted. So my thinking is, I don't go where I'm not wanted. So, and then of course, that's just on the surface. It was a whole lot of things trying to get laws changed so where people get a fair shake. But I'm like, why even do that when black folks were segregated? We had our own communities and we were doing our own things and thriving. So, and then you got your Martin Luther Kings to come along and fuck all that up. It's like, no, they don't want us sitting at their lunch counters and this, that, and the other. We're gonna march and do all this to pass laws to make them let us sit at their counters. And we know we're not wanted at their counters. Like, that way of thinking is just beyond me. It's beyond me. Well, I get the agenda of what that was for, because Martin Luther King was a Marxist communist and he was a plant. So from that standpoint, I understand what he was doing. He was put there to systemically break down black families that were thriving amongst segregation and Jim Crow laws and chattel slavery, because we were thriving, because we had a reason to thrive. We didn't care about going, most black folks during the civil rights movement, we didn't care about going to that place that didn't want us, because we had our own thing. Own banks, own restaurants, own communities, own public transportation, all of that type shit. And then you get this guy, Martin Luther King, that they done propped up monuments and holidays and movies and just everything else. You always got to be suspect when they prop up any black person for anything at this point in this country. You just always have to be skeptical, because look at some of the black folks that they propped up. Martin Luther King, they didn't prop him up. They definitely did not prop up Malcolm X. They wouldn't dare do something like that. They propped up someone such as Rosa Parks, which that whole bus boycott thing was fake. It was actually, Rosa Parks had a car and she was married at the time. And the whole Rosa Parks thing was, before the Rosa Parks was, what actually happened was there was a darker skinned, less attractive black lady that actually happened to, but no, that ain't work with their narrative. So they put Rosa Parks out in front of that and worship her ever since. If you don't know, they just throw these symbols out here. And when they do it, they do a terrible job of it. Anybody they put in front of you, you black that is, you gotta be skeptical of. We can put it to modern day. They put Barack Obama out there. They gave you Barack Obama. He ain't no American. He's not a black American, because when you say black American, you can say FBA. There's a whole another set of issues that FBAs have gone through. Barack Obama has no interest, and he's shown that, and he's still showing it today, of what black Americans have gone through. And then you got this other side that they give you. All the shills that we know of. The Congressional Black Caucus. What are they standing for today? Today, not black folks. Maybe they did in their initial formation. Maybe they did, but today they fighting for immigrants. That's what they doing. Another person that they put out in front of you is Roland Martin. What does he do? He just make black folks, you should be a victim. The white man has supremacy over you. Well, that don't say nothing about the white man. That says more about you. If you feel like any human is supreme over you or has supremacy over you, well, that says more about you than it does them, because I'm not gonna let anybody do anything to me that I don't allow them to do. The consequences that come up on me are because of my actions, not because someone has forced something on me. So these people that they give you, another one that they gave you was D.L. Hughley. He's another one that they gave you, right? I don't know if anybody noticed. Maybe it's me. Tell me in the comments. It seems like after that, when D.L. Hughley passed out on stage and supposedly because of COVID or anything like that, it seemed like D.L. Hughley, he was a little bit delusional before that as far as his worldview and his politics. But after he passed out at that time, he put that on 10 and he has his delusional foot on the gas ever since then, to the point today he just sounds like a fucking cuckoo bird. He sounds like a fucking idiot today. He sounds like an idiot. No matter what Trump does, this, that, and the other. One of the other people that they gave you was Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton was just like, Al Sharpton was a low-level drug dealer, snitch type dude that they gave you. He's another one that's on some Trump derangement stuff. Never speaks about how to help people. Never says, hey, this is what we're gonna do. A person like Al Sharpton, all he says is, well, this is what they're doing. This is what they're doing. Make sure you donate. Make sure you donate.
So now a lot of them are trying to status correct now, but for years they was othering themselves. Now with Chicago, and it goes back to what I said in the beginning. Chicago is the city that got me to really start looking at illegal immigration. Prior to that, I'm like, I'm not no immigrant. That's not my issue. I don't know why black people even speaking on this issue. We not immigrants. We ain't got nothing to worry about. We ain't worried about ICE or XYZ. So at the time, I was more so like, I'm gonna just cover content that we normally cover with black people. But that's one issue. Like, unless you a person who are from a different country who are black, maybe. But I'm talking about us as black Americans. So until I went to Chicago, and then I told this story, and I'll tell it again because we got new people. So me and my wife went to Chicago for a few days. We went to Giordano's to eat pizza because I wanted her to try that pizza. We got out the restaurant. We saw, a young sister. It was cold. It was about October. It was kind of cold outside that night. And we saw her ducked off. And, she looked no different than the age of our daughter. And so, we had, pizza was bad. Only one slice was taken. And, I asked her, was she hungry? And she said, would she like a pizza? And she said, yeah, she'll love it. She asked me to have any meat on it. I was like, no, it don't. And said, okay, cool, thank you. And then we went, right down the street and got, some dessert and then some hot chocolate. And then I said, hey, my wife said, hey, let's bring her a hot chocolate. So we brought her the largest hot chocolate we could find over there. Brought it to the young sister. And after that, when we walked away, I started getting so upset because I remember how some people from Chicago was telling me about all those schools that Rahm Emanuel closed, that they were putting, the migrants in these schools, but when they asked for to use these schools for community centers, the city of Chicago was saying no. And we know the Democrat Party runs Chicago. They've been running Chicago way back when to now. You know what I'm saying? That is a stronghold for the Democratic Party. It's the city of Chicago. Now, fast forward to today, you have Mayor Brandon Johnson. What did he do? He kept making sure that the migrants were in great conditions, hotels, community centers, kicking out black people, right? Trying to kick out black people out of their community center to put in these people who chose to come over here. And the Biden administration has swung the door wide open. So a lot of people in Chicago are like, hey man, where Trump at? A lot of people got tired of that. They tax dollars kept going to that situation. Some people don't remember, I'm gonna say, how some people voted for Trump. It was because of that. A lot of people voted for Trump because of that. They were dumping all these people in our cities, in American cities, giving all the tax dollars to people who just got here yesterday, but say to hell with the American citizen. And the American citizen was like, what the hell? That's basically what the American citizen was saying. And especially the black American. as Tucker Carlson acknowledged, that we've been here hundreds of years. He said 300, but we've been here much longer, right? So there are Black Americans that are actually excited that Trump talking about coming on down there with the feds and ICE and start getting these people out of here, or some of the crime element too, right? Now, I said this on the stream the other night, and I'll say it again. I don't like just harassing innocent people. I don't like that. People who's committing particular crimes, or problem areas, or gangs, or whatever. Hey, I'm all for putting them gangs in prison, because I don't think no gang should be existing. You know, you want a gang, go to work. Go work with some co-workers. You know what I'm saying? You want to do form an organization to help children, educate. You know, I don't care if you form an organization to go walk dogs. I don't care.